You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud too long.
Hello, London. This is Mayor Weddle. And as we continue our series with the department heads and their departments talking about what they do internally, just trying to get an idea of maybe some things that the public doesn't know. It's just to kind of inform you on exactly what's happening inside of our department. Today, I'm sitting here with Chief Bobby Day, and we're going to ask the Chief some questions here today. Chief, you know, the public has a general ideal of what a police department does.
Right.
But, so let's talk a little bit about what your guys' day consists of.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you for doing these podcasts and having me on here. As far as, you know, one of the things that day-to-day operations for us is answering calls, traffic enforcement, accident investigation, escorts, and a sundry of different things. It's never the same because, you know, we always have a lot of different.
So when we say calls, like if you say in a call, what could that call be in the city?
Call for service could be an accident. It could be a attempt to locate for an impaired driver. It could be a reckless driver. It could be a shoplifter, stolen property, missing person. You know, there's a sundry of different things.
I know when I was coming into PD right now, they were going to do a welfare check.
Correct.
I think you guys get quite a bit of those.
We get quite a few of those. You know, a relative hadn't heard from a family member in a while, or a neighbor hadn't seen their neighbor in a while. They'll usually call us, and we'll go do a welfare check on that particular person, make sure they're good to go.
So out of all those calls, what do you feel like is the highest volume call? You know, some people say, man, there's a lot of sirens around London. Right. What would you say would be the highest call volume on? For
us, and we average around 1,200 calls a month. That's what we've kind of been
averaging.
Lot. That's a lot of calls. A lot of those, or I'd say the majority of what we receive are accidents. And when you hear the lights, the sirens, accidents are usually what those are. Now, if you're hearing the lights and sirens, that means that there's an accident with injury. We have a lot of fender benders as well. And, you know, we hear a lot of times about, you know, you guys just write tickets. A lot of people just think we write tickets. You know, and that's a very small portion of what we do. But the traffic enforcement portion of what we do is to hopefully combat that or keep those numbers as far as the accidents are concerned down. And we've seen there's a direct correlation a lot of times with traffic enforcement and accidents going down.
You know, I noticed that I've been around, you know, you guys at the fire department, and they'll say 1045 or a 1046. What is the difference in those two types of calls?
A 1045 is an accident without injury. 1046 is an accident with injury, or we think it's an injury. Sometimes they can be upgraded or they can be downgraded. You know, you pull up and you think there's got to be somebody hurt. A lot of times it'll be called in based on the nature of the accident. There's got to be somebody hurt. Goes in as a 46. Obviously, then you call ambulance, you call fire, and everybody gets there as fast as they can. Sometimes those are downgraded in flight to that accident, and sometimes it comes in as a minor accident that's sometimes upgraded to a 46 or an accident with injury.
Because all the dispatchers can really do is go by what the callers are
Correct.
saying when they call in.
Yes.
So they want to make sure they have the correct coverage out of these wrecks.
Yes, and to ensure that you definitely want all the resources there that you may need.
Sure,
it's better to have more and not need them than to need them and not have them, as the old adage goes.
Well, if it was my family member, I'd want the whole entire cavalry.
Absolutely, send the cavalry. We'll back it off as we go or when we get there.
So, you know, we talked about call volumes. You know, a lot of people says, well, London's only got about 7,000 people, which is not true. That census was done during COVID, and there's a lot of people that didn't do that. You know we have over 4,500 homes on our utility commission hookup. So, you know, we know that there's more than 7,000 people in the city of London, but we have a ton of transients.
Exactly. We're sort of the hub of, you know, Somerset to Hazard, I-75 north and south. This is just it's a convenient stopping place, but it's also a good crossroads for a lot of people that are traveling north, south, east, and west.
Yeah, and the amount of people that's coming here out of eastern Kentucky to work, out of Clay County, our friends there in Knox County. So a lot of people just coming into London, so you have these higher volume of calls with accidents or what
Correct.
have you.
And as I said, 1,200 calls a month for service. That's a pretty significant amount of calls. And if you compare that to other agencies anywhere, that's a significant, either at average-ish or above for an area like this.
So outside of the calls, though, you guys also you have some detectives in here.
Right.
What are some of the things that our detective here are focusing on?
Well, we have an internet crimes against children that you basically headed as far as wanting us to make sure we had that and had the training and the equipment we had for that. But we've got an ICAC division, internet crimes against children. Our detectives are very active. Our detectives are active when it comes to, we have a lot of thefts. We have the drug enforcement, those type things. Our detectives work those, especially if they're significant as far as the amount of money and those type things. If we have a missing person, a missing child, especially if it's a missing child, we don't do the typical enter them into the to the computer as missing and then put it on Facebook and then stop. We do that, but we call out a detective immediately, and we immediately start pinging phones and doing things that we can do to try and find out where that person is. Because to us, every missing child, every missing, especially an elderly person or a child, is a missing critical by our definition.
And I know one thing that you are big on that I have witnessed around you is the men and women that work here, their ability to have knowledge and be trained in what they're doing. So we have nobody in this PD that is undertrained.
No, and you're exactly right. That's one of the things that I take a great deal of pride in. And it started long before me as far as the London Police Department is concerned. London Police Department is an accredited agency, been accredited since 1999. And to kind of put that in perspective, every 5 years you're audited. And we were just audited not long ago. Yeah, and it basically ensures that not only are you meeting the minimum standards, but you're far exceeding them. The standards to be an accredited agency, and you can kind of, I challenge people to look at the different departments that are accredited throughout the state, and you'll see that there's a lot that are not. But one of the things it says is that you've met or exceeded a high standard for training, for certifications, for the way you keep your books, for the way you do everything associated with policing, your policy, your procedure, those type things. And as you said, everybody we have is an academy certified trained individual. When I say academy certified, either by Kentucky State Police or by the Department of Criminal Justice Training, which is a formalized training that every officer should go to and should complete. And those are one thing before we put anybody out working the road in any shape, form, or fashion, they have been through that academy or one of those academies.
So, you talk about training, and that is so important, and I know you push that heavily here as well as myself, not just here, but in all the departments. But you yourself, you have some time under your belt with a lot of training, right?
Well, I have a lot of time under my belt. Yes, I started with the Kentucky State Police in 1991. Started the school police after I retired. I started the school police with the Laurel County school system.
And you set that up?
We set that up from scratch. Yes, sir. It was it was pursuant to a House bill that the governor had passed or that had been passed, where each school could have or should have an officer, a certified officer at each school while the school was open. And ultimately we figured the best way to do it here in Laurel County was to actually start our own police department, as opposed to trying to rely on the city police or the sheriff's department to be able to do that for us. We thought if we do that, then we kind of can control what we do. So yes, we went from 0 to 18-person unit. Certified, the ORI is everything that it requires to be a certified bona fide police department, and that is still going strong as far as I know. 2023, January, I came over here as a major assistant chief of police with Chuck Johnson. It's kind of funny. You and I we met I think twice before then. And obviously been through some things here, but I've never questioned my decision to come over here, and I'm happy that I did.
That's the thing that part of these series that we want to put out is, letting people see and know who truly is working inside their city government, and that it's this department as all of them, whether it be city hall or the street department or fire. I'm proud. I'm proud of the team that we have. It's everybody, they don't get to see it, but just like our round table meetings that we do once a month for sure, but sometimes we may have more, and the ideals that come up during that round table meeting to most of what we've seen develop out of this team, and whether it's community engagement or whatever, it's came out of those round table meetings, and the quality of people that we have is just tremendous, and we're blessed.
It is, and a lot of people don't know it, but as you said, one of the things that I'm big on, I know you're big on, is the community engagements.
Oh yeah.
We have here with the London Police Department, we have the Citizens Police Academy, we have National Night Out, we try to do everything we can for our veterans, that being feed them, having programs for them, those type of things. Anytime the school needs something or calls, we help them. I personally teach a church security class for churches, but all the events we have, in the Summertown part, we have a lot of tourism events. But it's funny that our fire, our rescue, our public works, these guys are the first ones to say, "Where do you need me at? What do you need me to do?" And with or without pay, it doesn't matter. They're where do you want me? What can we do to help and be part of this? And as you said, that's a true testament to the team. And a lot of people don't know it. And I don't know. I mean, I should say this in this format, but when we have these roundtable discussions, there's no hierarchy. Items are thrown out on the table, and they're discussed, and we come up with a hopefully a good solution that benefits the people of London and Laurel County.
Yeah. So when we're talking about like what's happening here in the police department, and we've got the detectives, we got the road units. You've talked about the calls, and there's some people that says we have too many police officers, but if they knew every little little tad bit rather that's going on in this department, and the work that it takes to keep this community safe, they probably wouldn't be saying such foolish things.
No, and obviously you can pull the numbers. You can come down and visit us, and you can see. But the numbers don't lie. They tell that we're busy. I think if we get thanks to you, we got body cams, and the body cams tell a wonderful story about all the work that goes on, and not just the work that goes on, the professionalism behind that work from the guys and what they do.
Yeah, and speaking about the body cams, there was some chatter about that. Is that we didn't want them? That's not true.
No, furthest thing from the truth.
Well,
we love the body cams.
Yeah, I think the men really want the body cams for their own protection, right?
Correct.
So, the PD just don't do the calls. They don't just, do their everyday policing. But there's a lot of events happening in London.
A lot of events.
The police is at every one of those events to ensure the safety of the public, whether it be the Chicken Festival, Red, White, and Boom's another big one that we do. And, we've got the Randy Smith Christmas Parade coming up. So you guys are always heavily active, as all the departments are. So you're being pulled 100 ways, because if there's an event happening in this town, no matter how big or small, you guys know about it, and you have some type of presence either there or they're around the vicinity of that event.
If we got people there, there's obviously the potential for something to happen.
Yeah,
a medical event, a criminal event. Yeah, I mean, it could happen. If there's kids there, there's always the risk of a missing child or something happening to that child. So these are all things we have to plan for, we have to prepare for, and we have to make sure we've got the resources there to be able to deal with it.
Yeah. And that goes back to the cameras. There was some, of course, just a little bit of chatter from some individuals about the cameras. But those cameras have helped us locate kids like during the Chicken Festival.
Absolutely.
Very fast. Or a big event down at the Town Center Park. Without them, it would have been more difficult to locate these kids.
Correct. You know, there's so many myths and misconceptions and different things out there regarding a lot of topics, but specifically the cameras. You know, the cameras are used just for those purposes. If we've got a missing child, if we've had an incident that took place, we have found several missing children as a result of the cameras that we put up. We have been able to determine who did an assault against somebody or who was the assaulter against a particular individual during a fight or during different things. So thefts, a lot of different things that we have solved as a result of having those cameras. And those cameras are there for the purpose of that, to prevent, deter, and mitigate the impact of something bad happening.
Yeah, and so that's why they're not just used at some of the events. Sometimes when we're having an area where there are people request from a business owner
Yes.
or someone to say that they're having issues, you guys will place those up to kindly help you, one, catch the person,
Yes.
and then you can turn the flashing lights on and deter people
Absolutely.
from wanting to do that. I do know that some of the business owners here in town had asked for one to be located close to them, and it has helped there, has it
Yes,
not?
it has. It has. You know, sometimes it's going to, as we said, our goal with security, and my goal with security is to prevent, deter, and mitigate. So, or mitigate the impact. So, hopefully that'll prevent it. Obviously, us being in the area, the flashing lights, all those things will deter it. Somebody sees that, I'm not going to go there. Or lastly, if they're inclined to do it regardless, then the mitigation of the impact is us being able to find out or figure out who that was and to prosecute at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So there's an elephant in the room. So let's talk about that. You know, a lot of people that even make some people, I'm not going to say a lot, but some people that's going to be watching this video today is going to say, well, they're not mentioning Doug Harless.
Right.
So let's mention Doug
Absolutely.
Harless.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Doug Harless. Is there any updates that we can give the public?
There is, as of yesterday. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but as of yesterday, I received information that the investigation phase from Kentucky State Police had finished, and I'll touch on finished in just a second, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's closed. It just means the Kentucky State Police is investigate. You got an investigation phase, and then you got a prosecution review phase. So it is now in the prosecution review phase. So Kentucky State Police finishes their investigation, they turn it over to a prosecutor, and my understanding it was turned over to a special prosecutor, and that special prosecutor now has that. He will review that in this prosecutorial review phase, and then determine if it's going to be forwarded to a grand jury, and then what the results are as it goes. I'll go back to Kentucky State Police. It's not closed until it's adjudicated. So what this basically means is that from their standpoint at this point in time, they've pretty much done all they're going to do, unless that prosecutor or somebody from the courts request more information about a particular topic or whatever the case may be. So the investigation, from what I understand, is completed, unless something else is requested or needed or clarification on a particular topic. And now the prosecutor has it. He will look at everything associated with it, which, again, we talk about how long it takes to do an investigation. It takes quite a while to review those things, too, because, again, we want to make sure we're thorough. We want to make sure if and when this goes to a grand jury that I'm sure he wants to make sure that he's got all the information he needs as well. So everything takes time. No timeline on this, but as I said, I think the last time I spoke, it's in the final stages, and we're getting closer to the final the outcome.
Yeah. So now that the special prosecutor has it, he'll make his determination where we go from there.
Correct.
Inside of that, though, we know that some individuals has politicized this Doug Harless thing, but our stance from the beginning, I said this in January, after this occurred, that if anyone is found to do any wrongdoing, we're going to hold them accountable.
Yes.
We've told this to council, multiple conversations we've had with them that, we've told them in full agreement, if any wrongdoing is found,
Yep.
That we will hold these people accountable. And you are on board with that. None of us has denied that if anything comes back to be wrongdoing. But I want to say this, and I've said this to council members, if it comes back that nothing did, no wrongdoing was found, what do you do with that?
Right.
And I asked some of the council members, are you going to support our men and women? Because they are trained, good,
Yes.
ethical individuals. And so while I put that cry out there that I will hold people accountable, I want to make something plain. If it comes back, I'm going to stand by my men and women.
Absolutely.
At the same time.
Absolutely. We got to trust the results
That's right.
of this.
Because I don't know everything.
Correct.
Chief, you don't know everything. And the facts is neither one of us was there.
Correct.
But it seems like the warriors out here on social media have more information about this case than I think maybe even possibly state troopers do at this point.
Well, as you said, there's a lot we don't know. So yes, I was in the bed that night. I had just had shoulder surgery. I had just had shoulder replacement. Received the call. After receiving the call, before everybody had cleared, I went to the scene. Requested the Kentucky State Police work the case, and
so we've just been waiting for them to conclude.
just been waiting for the results.
It's not been in our hands.
No.
Me and you couldn't have, and I do know this, you have relentlessly checked for updates, where are we at, and I know when Tracy Hanley had come in, she sent this big political letter to find out exactly what we had already been doing. No, we didn't politicize it because me and you both feel like this has been politicized enough. And we have said from the beginning, and we can't make this more clear, our hearts go out to the Harless family.
Absolutely.
And we pray for them.
Right.
It's a bad situation. But in the same token, we know the men and women that's over here, and our hearts go out to them and their families and the impact that this has had, because we don't have all the facts.
Right.
The public don't have all the facts.
No.
KSP has all the facts.
Correct.
Now the special prosecutor is going to go through it, and he has all the facts. I have to wait for the facts.
Yeah.
You have to wait for the facts. And when they come out, we will judge accordingly.
Yes. And I see, I've got a Facebook account, but it's because my wife.
I'd say stay off of it.
My wife said that she was tired of answering messenger things that come in from me, so she made me get one. But anyway, I've got one, but I don't mess with the Facebook stuff or the social media stuff much. But I get people will send me snapshots, or they'll send me screenshots. I guess is what it's called, of different things that people are saying and have said, and I'm like, how do they know that? What this? There's no there's no way what they're saying here is the case. Number one. Number two, how do they know that?
Yeah.
How do they know that? Some people say, well, I'm not going to get into it, but just a lot of different things. But you're right. It seems like I truly care about making sure that all the people, the Harless family, the City of London, Laurel County, London Police Department, everybody finds out all the facts of this.
Yes.
It couldn't happen soon enough for me. If
for
it would
all
have
of
happened,
us.
exactly. Yeah, and I know you as well, months and months ago. Now, there's still going to be people, and I've resigned myself in these positions. There's still going to be people that are going to say, oh, this, if it doesn't go the way they want it to, that are going to say, well, this was a cover-up, or this was this, because I saw that. Somebody said this is going to be a cover-up. Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Now, granted, I was a state trooper for 20-some-odd years, but the Kentucky State Police is a very professional organization. In my opinion, one of the finest, if not the finest, there is. But to think that they would try to hide or cover something up for me, you, the London Police Department, or anybody else is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard.
Agreed.
Now, they don't prosecute the case, obviously, but they're not going to hide any of the facts. If there was something that took place that night, right, wrong, or indifferent, before, during, or after, the prosecutor or the special prosecutor right now has that information, good, bad, or indifferent. The special prosecutor is not going to hide, cover up anything, or try to sway the grand jury or anybody else in any shape, form, or fashion. He is going to present the facts as he understands them to them, if it's presented to them. So to think about all the different working parts of an investigation, all the different parts from the time something begins, the investigation begins, until it's adjudicated, to think that there is a cover up or something that's going to be swept under the rug or whatever the case is ridiculous, because you've got too many working parts with regard to this to even entertain a thought like that. You've got the state police, you've got special prosecutors, you've got grand juries, you've got Attorney General's office, I'm sure, is involved in looking at, has looked or will look at, the FBI. To think that any one of those entities is going to compromise their integrity just to help the London Police Department or us is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Why would they?
At the end of the day, as you said, so therefore...
But the narrative is, well, Weddle's paying everybody. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah, somebody, I saw this, they said, how much is he paying you to say that? Well, I can go right now on record as saying zero. Yeah. And I don't know
I think it's
that,
unbelievable. When you've been pushing this narrative that about an individual, you have to say that. You have to put out that he's paid this, and this is why it's went this way. When the reality is, nobody's being paid because you have been pushing lies. And when the truth starts coming out, now you've got to cover up your lies by saying, "Oh, well, the truth ain't coming out now on what I had said because." He's paying everybody.
Right. If you've got enough money to pay off me,
entire
the
KSP,
Kentucky State Police, the prosecutors.
Well, now I know they put all over social media and some of the TikToks somebody sent me. They're saying now I'm paying off the FBI and everybody. So it's absurd. These are really good organizations.
Oh, without question.
And again, I would have to be a billionaire to begin to pay off.
I don't even know if you could support it being a billionaire.
All the people that they've said at this point. But we'll close on this note. Our hearts have been with all that have been impacted.
Everybody involved. There've been
and even our community.
Yes, there've been a lot of people.
We've seen how politicized it's become, and our hearts have been with the community. The disinformation that's been out there, people says, well, they should say something. Well, we have been saying something.
We have. And May, I was named the acting chief of police in May of this year after Jerry Holland resigned. And one of the first things I did was, call the state police and make a statement or an update to council. Now, a lot of people don't like that. Well, that's not an update. That's all we can say. It's not our investigation.
Yeah.
It's all we can do is once we relinquish that to another agency, it's their investigation. And to talk about the, I've heard some of the things that's said, and sometimes I get frustrated. I get angry about some of the things that have been said, and then I think, if I was a member of the public and all I had to go on,
that's right,
was some of the things that had been said by people that have absolutely no idea.
Right.
They post it like, oh, this is what I heard, or this is what's happened. How do you know that? Because unless you're an investigator with the Kentucky State Police, you wouldn't know it. So unless some of those folks are saying something. But my question is, how do you know it? But if I heard some of the things that had been said, I'd probably be upset too.
They went from this, they were saying they were no warrant, and then someone sent me something, and now they're saying they want to know who signed the warrant.
Right.
So it's like, well, for the first several months you said there was no one. But, again, I've not seen it. We're waiting on the facts.
Correct. Here's what will happen. Whether there was a warrant or not will be determined.
We'll know.
Whether who signed the warrant will be a matter of public record.
Yeah.
What process led up to the investigation or anything along those lines, like you said, I don't know what people get out of, and I'm not going to get on the soapbox here, but I don't know what people get out of just constantly wanting to stir and cause trouble.
It's the political agenda. Their hate driven for me is what's caused a lot of this, and then their jealousy for this department. But at the end of the day, we know and understand what's been happening. But here's another question. If I'm going to a hate-filled page that does nothing but spew hate and lies, I got to begin to question my own insanity.
Yeah, what's my expectations if I go there? They're not going to be saying, you know what, that Mayor Weddle's a great guy. That Chief Bobby Day is a great
We
guy.
could
It's not
hand
gonna be
out
that.
gold
It
bars,
wouldn't matter.
and then they would
wouldn't
still
matter
find a
either.
way to, we could save 700 lives,
matter.
and they would still, I make it rain. They claim that I brought the
I've
tornado
seen
through
that.
this page.
I've seen that.
At what point do you stop watching those pages when they're making outlandish statements that as a reasonable human being is impossible? So that goes to show you, but the part where we all have been in agreement is that those pages or those individuals that drive that narrative, they hurt the family.
They do.
They hurt the men and women in this PD who have nothing to do with Randall Weddle politics.
Absolutely.
And so that's been why we continue to pray. We continue to lift up the family and our men and women that we know are good people. So we're going to wait on the facts in that.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like we're getting closer.
We're getting closer, as we said. We're, as I said earlier, once the investigation is, and a lot of times these investigations, it's hard to put a number on how many pages or whatever, but just to kind of put it in perspective, some investigations have up to 1,000 pages as far as the investigation is concerned. People ask, well, how come it takes this long? So many working parts. You've got the medical examiner, you've got the labs, and the Kentucky State Police. This isn't the only officer-involved shooting they're working. They've got lots of officer-involved shootings. They've got lots of the labs have lots of evidence that's sitting in the labs that are waiting to be viewed, waiting to be tested, and to do what the lab does with them. So there's a lot of different working parts to that. And then there's a lot of typing, there's a lot of interviews, there's a lot of, all those things have to be transcribed. So just a ton of stuff that has to be done. And now the prosecutor, special prosecutor, has all that. So he has to now look through all that. Now, it doesn't take as long to do that as it does to wait for the other parts, obviously. But there's a process that takes place. There's no specific timeline on it. Okay, 2 months, this should be done. 1 month, this should be done, and so on and so forth. Here's the situation, and it's contingent and variable on a lot of different other things that are taking place almost simultaneously with it.
Well, Chief, we really appreciate you taking time out and sitting down with us and clarifying some of what you guys do in this PD, and then, taking time to talk about the Doug Harless situation, and, getting clarity. And hopefully, London, that you can make more sense of what is truth and reality versus delusion and political narrative. That's part of why we're doing these series, not only to highlight the great people that work in these departments, but also to put out facts versus fiction. Remember, there's a narrative that is political, and it's political motivated. These series, we hope to also show the truth and the factual side of things in all the departments, just not here at the PD. London, as always, we thank you for all your support. We appreciate all the love you give to all these departments throughout your city. You have great people working throughout this city, and I'm proud to stand beside them and be the mayor of this city. And I'm super proud just to be able to say that I live in London, Laurel County. Thank you.
God bless you.
You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk.